This is the heartbeat of human services, a peek into the inspiring stories of our community and all things DHS. Join us.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Janice Slagle for the podcast, The Heartbeat of Human Services. And June is Family Reunification Month. And so we are going to talk to a couple people today who have successfully reunified. Mr. John Rodriguez and his social worker, Bianca. So welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you that don't know what reunification means, so when our Department of Human Services gets involved with a family that maybe has some things going on that make the home not safe for the children, we may try to help, and we can intervene in many different ways. And one of them is when the children come into our care and they're placed in foster care, and we work right away with families to reunify. So that's what happened in John's case. And so we're so happy that you were able to reunify and you worked with us, John. Would you like to just give us a little snippet of your story of how we got involved and kind of how that first part happened?
Yeah, it was a little over a year ago. My son Josiah was born on April 27th, and at that time I was using drugs, and I had a social, and my son came up with drugs in his system because his mother was using drugs too, and social services stepped in, and after being at the hospital for 10 days, one of the social services woman, Crystal Ortega, came and told me that I wasn't going to be able to bring my son home.
That must have been a tough time for you, John.
Oh, yeah, it was. And it was, I didn't know, I just got woken up and got this news, and man, I was so upset. And at first I wanted to blame everybody else for it happening, and blaming the Crystal and my baby's mom and everybody else. But you mean like that day, it was at first started out to be a nightmare. It ended up in the long run, ended up being a blessing in disguise.
That's great.
You know,
it started out scary, I bet.
Oh, very scary. And
wow.
I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I needed to step it up. You know what I mean? And
it was kind of like a wake up call, huh?
Exactly, a wake up call. And I mean, I was a user of 30 years.
Oh wow, okay. You hardly look 30.
Oh.
You look young.
No, I was using for 30 years. I'm 46.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And
well, you look healthy today, so that's good.
I feel healthy today. I feel great. Yeah, I wasn't looking like this back
then. Okay. And this was about a year ago, John?
This is over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
Beginning of May. And ever since that day, they told me I had to go to court and stuff like that. And I was just like, I couldn't let that happen to my son.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know I heard a lot of bad things about CPS, and I was just like, oh, I don't want him, whatever, taken away from me. I need to get him back. And there was nothing I could do. It was ready started. The program, it already started for me. It's like, you're going to have to go through the whole court thing and do all this stuff. And I was like, man,
So what were some of the things they asked you to do? What were some of the steps that you took right away to make changes?
They told me I needed to get into a program.
Okay.
An outpatient program or inpatient. I just needed to start a drug program to get drug counseling. And what else? What other things are?
He did the parenting and the child neglect classes as well.
Yes, parenting neglect classes, and those are the two first things I needed to do. But at first, it's like snapped in me. I just stopped using drugs. I just stopped before I even got into the program. I was already, I think, 2 months clean.
Oh wow!
Before I got myself into Jason's retreat, and when I got in there, they were already not almost going to not accept me. They're like, well, you're already off drugs. Like, you don't really, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, I need to be here because this is where CPS told me I got to be. So I'm here, you know,
Yeah.
I have to do this. This is.
But it kind of snapped you into waking up mode where you're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done doing drugs now.
And you know, parole, probation, there was nothing that before that could make me stop. You mean I got high no matter what. You mean, but this time, you mean when CPS came, and then they told me I wasn't able to see my other kids without another adult present. Oh man,
that was heartbreaking. I'm sure.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
My other kids who I have a very good relationship with, I've always had a really good relationship with. Right, they're sad.
Mm-hmm. And how old are your other kids?
Right now they're 14 and 11.
Okay.
And they're like, Dad, what's going on?
Yeah.
Social worker came over, told us that we can't see you without another adult around. I was like, I go, Daddy messed up.
Wow.
Your dad messed up, but he's gonna fix it. And, there's one thing I don't do to my kids. I never lie to them about nothing. I told them I'm gonna fix this. I promise you guys this. You know what I mean? I know this is gonna be a little hard for right now, but in time, things are gonna get better, and they're gonna get way better. And it's gonna be a little tough time right now that I'm not gonna be able to pick you guys up on my own and stuff like that. I go, but in the long run, after all this is done and said with, you're gonna love it. You're gonna be happy because we're gonna be in a better place. I promise you that. And
wow. Well, I see the emotion, and even on your social worker Bianca's face. So she obviously has a heart for your story too, and I know she's very proud of you.
Oh yeah, John and I have good conversations, and there's times where I could just feel that knot in my throat when I'm listening to him, because I think that we definitely go through a lot. You know, we definitely go through a lot in this field. Mm-hmm. And the good thing in this particular case, like I've been able to follow this case from like the very beginning all the way to the end. And as you know, sometimes that's not always
true. Yeah.
Doesn't always happen that way. And, you know, sometimes cases get shifted around, but I've been able to watch this little one grow, be able to watch him thrive.
Wow.
Be able to watch him with a really amazing caretaker who was very, very committed to him as well. Very supportive to John. And so I've been able to watch them go through this path. And on a month-to-month basis, John and I have really good conversations, and I can have an opportunity to hear his challenges outside of CPS, which one of them was how this affected his relationship with his other children. And it was very challenging for him to hear those things. And it's like he said, you know, we've gone through these waves of sometimes maybe not understanding or initially not knowing the reasons why certain things he was not able to do. But in his growth, he's been able to develop from that and really make a change on a month-to-month basis. And I've seen it. And as you said, he looks good today. Yeah. He's been clean. He's been sober. He's been testing randomly. He's completed all of his requirements. And even to this day, we don't have there's not ever anything that I feel like I can't say to John that he doesn't take in. And even when we have rough conversations, and I tell him, we might have some rough, uncomfortable conversations, but we need to have them. And we need to have them in order to move forward.
Yeah.
And so we've had them, and we continue to have them sometimes, or some things that I bring up that might be, you know, uncomfortable, but I don't think there's ever been a point where we haven't been able to just kind of hear each other out and then progress from that, which is really good that John's been able to do that progressively. And then now I get a chance to watch Josiah have his first Christmas at home.
Wow.
Which is really good.
So, and Josiah's
very proud of John.
Now, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I've been able to watch him have have that opportunity to have his kids home for Christmas, New Year's. He's been able to move forward in that direction. And then also now be able to have his other children come around.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
And, you know, just hearing that, you showed them that you were true to your word, John. You said you don't lie to them, and that, you know, even though it was hard, you were going to work, and you did.
Yeah.
So that must be an amazing feeling to look those kids in the face now and just, have them see you did it. You made it. You had hard things, but you faced them. You were open and honest, and now you're working through it.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
We helped each other. You mean like they have little things that they wanted me to change, and I had things like their grades. You mean weren't bad, but I mean my son got a couple C's and stuff like that, and I said, well, son, you got to work on this. You mean you got to do something about it. And now they've motivated me to do stuff too, like I quit smoking cigarettes.
Wow.
And I never been able to stop smoking cigarettes.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and it was just overnight. I just one morning woke up and said, I got to do this. You mean, and I did it. You mean, and just like I'm making a lot of changes now that I feel like I have control of my own life again. Like now that I'm not on drugs, I have control of my life. Like I could do things that I want to do, like stop cussing. Like I control that now. I could stop cussing. I stop smoking. You mean, I could get my license. I could get jobs. I could do whatever I want now. You mean,
it's really opened things up for you.
Oh, big time. It was all from the help of CPS. You mean, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. You mean, like if they would have never stepped in my life, I would still be getting high right now. You mean, I know I would. And I thank
That's so good. What do you think? So you've been sober how long?
For over a year.
Over a year. And what would you say helped you when you were talking earlier? You said you first thought was, who can I blame? I'm mad at Crystal. I'm mad at this person. What shifted you from that blame place to taking responsibility?
I knew that the only way this was going to get fixed is if I took care of it. I had to do it myself.
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't put the ball in my baby mom's hands. I couldn't I had to take control over it.
Yeah.
This.
And did you have support people at that moment to kind of help you think that way? Were there supportive people around you?
Yes, I had my family and basically my family, my kids. You mean, everybody does. All my family is all really supportive.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I thought that I read you had a church too that was helping you. Maybe is church part of your journey?
Church is part of my thing. God, yeah. Like I said, I've been to programs before. I've done a lot of programs before, and the one difference between then and now is I believe in God now, and I've given all my problems to Him, and He's made it a lot easier. I believe that He has healed me from my cravings to get high, because I don't even romance the thought of getting high no more. At all. Like it's not even a thought that I wish I could get higher. No,
don't even feel that feeling.
Don't even feel that feeling at all. And I know it's because of God, because before I tried to do this before and it never worked. You mean, and now that I have God in my life, all of a sudden these cravings are gone. You mean, like it has to be Him. You mean, there's no other answer to it. Like He took that away from me.
Wow.
And it's not my problem no more.
I'm your host, Allison, and I'm interrupting today's podcast to highlight positions available at Kern DHS. The following positions are available: Social Service Worker, Mojave; Human Services Aide; Extra Help Building Service Worker 2; Extra Help Eligibility Worker, Bakersfield, Arvin, Lamont, Delano, Shafter, Taft, Mojave, Ridgecrest, and Lake Isabella; Extra Help Human Services Aide; Extra Help Office Services Technician, Bakersfield and Mojave; Extra Help Social Service Worker, Bakersfield; Extra Help Building Services Worker; Extra Help Maintenance Worker; and Extra Help Utility Worker. Apply online today at kerncounty.com under the Careers tab. Thank you for listening, and now back to the podcast.
And so after you were able to get some help getting sober, and then did you have a job at the beginning?
No, I did not.
Okay, so then when did that part happen?
It all happened. First, I got clean. Then I went to Jason's retreat. Did a month program there.
And how long was that program?
For a month.
Okay.
And they said they were going to keep me longer because that I was good already. I was like, I
good.
wanted to try to stay longer, but they're like, no, you're good. You came in, you're sober.
Good.
You need to go home and do this now. And I was like, I knew I could. I wasn't. At the time when I went in there, I was like, there's nothing going to get me high. I didn't care what it was. In fact, I was 2 weeks after I got clean, I was here visiting my son, and I left this place, and a car pulled up on me right here outside this parking lot. The guy offered me, he's like, "Hey, you know anybody looking for any crystal, fentanyl?"
Just drove right up and asked you that.
I was getting my key made because I lost my key to my truck out here in the parking lot, and car pulled up, and he wanted a spare key for his car, and he asked me that, and I was like, "Oh man," I go, "Man, if you'd have found me like 2 weeks ago, bro," I go, "probably would have did business." I go, "But I'm trying to get my son back. I'm not messing around like that no more."
So you were faced with temptation right there, and you said no. Good for you.
Then the guy, the passenger guy, pulls out a sack, and he goes, "You sure you don't want to relapse?"
Wow.
And I was like, I just looked at him and laughed. I wasn't mad at him or nothing. I just looked at him and laughed and said, "No, brother, I'm good. You mean I'm trying to get my son back."
That is huge. That you could just look at them and say that, and just realize you're like looking at your kids going, "Kids are getting high. No, thank you. I'm done with that."
Oh yes. And it was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I went home. I was like, "Mom," told my mom and grandma, the devil's trying hard right now.
Yeah.
I go, before when I was using drugs, no one was trying to give me no drugs for free. This guy was out here in the parking lot trying to give it to me for free. Like,
that's
here,
huge.
And I was just like, it ain't happening. You mean like, and I went on, and after that, it's just like, I knew I was never gonna get high again. I knew.
You just knew.
I just knew, and it's after that, I just started saying I had to make some goals. I had to start getting my life together, and I went to Jason's, did the 30 days. Like, told me I had to go home, so I went home, and I told one of my buddies, I go, "Hey, I need a job." I put it on Facebook, I need a job. One of my buddies, "Hey, looking for a job?" He showed me just do a job. I said, "Shoot, let's go do this." So I got the job, got my license, debit card. I didn't have a house. I didn't have nothing. All I had was 4 wheels, a truck. That was it. I didn't have nothing to my name, nothing. And I said, I got my driver's license. I got my job, started working. And then while I was working, I was kind of like in the thing where I was working out of town, and I was having to do the drug test here. And some of them I wasn't able to do because I was out of town. And then my visits, I had 2-hour visits twice a week with my son. And I was like, this ain't working. I have to be out of town. I can't be doing this job. I'm gonna have to figure out something else because I need to be able to visit my son. I had to be there for my son. I've been working too hard to get all this done, and for them to say, "Oh, well, you were visiting your son." I don't want no excuses, nothing. I said, "You know what? I had to get rid of this job." So I found another job. God came in strong, blessed me with another job. Right? My brother calls me up. He goes, "Hey, bro, I might have you a job." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yes." And I go, "Well, if God's willing, I'll get this job." And bam, I got the job. I said, "It's right here in town. I'm gonna go do my visits and everything." And I said, "Cool." Got my job, started working, and everything's being taken care of. Then I needed to get my own place because I had to have my visits with my son at home. And as Bianca was like, "I'm gonna hook you up with this program. It's called Bringing Families Home," and she hooked me up with them, told them to give them all your information. You'll see about getting your own place. And I was like, all right, cool.
And how does that program work, Bianca? What is it called? Bringing Families
Home?
Bringing
Families Home.
Okay.
So it's a service provider that works with a lot of other agencies to be able to help families find housing. And John did have his support from his family, but in wanting to reunify with his son, he also wanted to have his own place because he had his other 2 children.
Right.
So he was like a perfect candidate to be able to have Bringing Families Home help and find him, assist him with finding housing that he felt comfortable, which I was very proud of the fact that he kind of put his foot down with the program too. And there were certain areas he just didn't want the housing in. He wanted the housing to be in a neighborhood that he felt comfortable being in. And he shared that with me. Like, I could have said yes to these other locations for the immediacy of it, but he chose to hold off on a particular location that
he felt was safe.
He felt safe, and
That's
he would feel safe to have his children there. So I was very glad that he did that because it's in a whole other side of
Good for
town.
you, John. So you knew the safe areas of town and the not safe areas of town. Good for you. Yeah. So the Bringing Families Home program helps locate a home, or does it help financially somewhat, or how does it
Also,
help?
with the financial part of
A little
it, John
bit?
was able to receive some of the funding to
Mm-hmm.
be able to be in the location where he's at now. And then John shared with me, I didn't even know, but John shared with me that they were also able to help with other funding to be able to help him pay like some of his legal fees,
Oh, good.
some of his fines that he needed to pay off.
Wow,
And so they
that's
were they were
wonderful.
able to help him with that, so that stressor
Mhm.
was,
Yeah.
something else that he was able to like move forward from, because he did have some fees that he was also worried about.
Mhm.
And so he was able to do that. I think in terms of like even the, to my understanding, I think it's also the utilities, right, that
That's
they assist
good.
with. So, so now, and even with John, like in the way that he's been able to upkeep the home now, he's made it a home. He's has the arrangements for all of his kids. He picked out a home with a huge yard. I was just joking with him, and I said, "You took on a challenge the minute you said
Wow.
yes to this location, because the yard is huge, and that means a lot of yard work." So we were
Yeah.
joking about that, but it's a place that he's been able to make his home, which I'm very proud of the fact that he stood his ground, and he wanted a location that was fitting for him and his family.
So you made sure that you had what your kids needed and
Yep.
you.
Yep.
That's really good, John.
On a
That's-
nice, clean home with nice fencing, so you don't have to worry about nothing. I got privacy in the backyard. It's a big backyard. It's
kids
everything I
can
wanted.
play
They wanted to give
around.
me an apartment, and I was just like, no, like it was only down the street from my mom. It'd have been real convenient for
Yeah.
my mom watching my son and stuff like that. But I was like, no, I could afford something better than that. I could
Mhm.
pay it, and they helped me a lot. Like bringing families homes, they helped me like a lot.
That's so good.
Like,
I'm glad to hear that.
they helped me with my rent, with the first.
Get you on your feet again, huh?
Man, they helped me in so many ways, like thousands of dollars. Like they helped me,
Wow.
like, and I couldn't have done it without it. I
Yeah.
couldn't have done it without CPS.
So cool.
This is all happening because of CPS.
Such a journey, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So you also mentioned Bianca, the caretaker. I think you were talking about maybe the foster parent
The
for
foster parent.
your son Josiah. So that caretaker had the mindset of really wanting him to reunify too. It sounded like.
Yes, I think she was also very fond of John too. Just
Okay.
not only the baby and being able to be with the baby since he was born, basically, but also in the whole journey, like being in contact with John. She was very nurturing to the baby, but to the process as well, and with being able to work through it with Dad, like being
That's huge,
able
isn't it?
to.
Oh yes.
It's like I keep hearing, it's really a partnership, isn't it? Like
Mhm.
we all work together to help you get where you need to get, and
Oh,
you're getting there. And so it's like the biological family, this bringing families home program, your social worker. Were there other support systems in your life too that have helped you? I know you had mentioned Kern Bridges a little bit. Was that just
Oh yeah, Kern Bridges. They're really. They made the visitings feel like at home.
yeah?
I felt
So you had the visits over there.
Yeah, I had all my visits over there. It made it feel so comfortable. Like they had the little TV couches, I could play with them right there in my own little room, and they did not bother me whatsoever. Like if they weren't even there, and they made it feel really homey over there.
That's nice.
They're all those girls are very awesome over there.
They're good. They're a great partner. They
I
really
still
are.
like
You go visit them now too.
Yeah, I still visit them. I still visit them. They're awesome ladies. They're very awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So you went through the treatment program, and are you still having to test? Do you still have
Yeah,
to,
in
you
fact,
still
I
have
have to go test today.
Okay. I know from just, again, Bianca, she said you've just been very open the whole time. And that is a huge part of, the success that you've had is that you are not fighting with DHS or CPS. You're open and you're going, help me, I need help.
Yep.
Do you think that that's a big part of people having successfully reunified to have that attitude?
Oh yeah, it's very, very important to be honest.
Mhm.
Very important, because if you're not honest, you're not gonna get the right help.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to lie or whatever. Like that's the only reason only reason people have trouble with CPS is because they lie.
Mm-hmm.
You mean they try to hide stuff, they try to get away with stuff, and they shouldn't. You mean if they just be honest about it and just do what they got to do, man. Be parents and do what they got to do.
It can work.
It can work.
Yeah.
And it can benefit them. It's gonna benefit them in so many different ways. I mean, like for me, it's benefited me so many different ways. Like it's really helped. And I have no problems with CPS. I love
That's
them. I mean, they
great.
changed my life. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I would, like I said, I'd still probably be getting high right now. I know I
Yeah.
would. You need.
Well, you know, and again, just looking at you, you look very healthy. You would never know that you had a meth, you know, habit before. You don't look unhealthy. You look healthy and strong and capable. And so I think that's wonderful to see what can happen.
Yeah.
And I know you're still working with our department to continue to help you. And Bianca mentioned you have a team meeting this afternoon.
Yeah.
Maybe making some more decisions, maybe about the future and that kind of
Yes.
thing. Have you had these kinds of team meetings throughout your journey with CPS, or is this the first time
This is the first one.
Okay. I think that our team meetings are really helpful because everybody has a voice at the table. And don't you, Bianca? It's a good way for us all to be on the same page about whatever the decision is. But
Yes.
Yeah.
And moving forward, I think we had an initial one early on, but now we get an opportunity to move forward and have an open discussion about like what the expectations are.
that's good.
And John being able to move forward with his family and any additional information that he feels that he needs is like the perfect opportunity to have everybody have an open discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say there was one thing that John mentioned to me that I was very proud of him to say. He hasn't brought it up, but when he started working, one of the things that he shared with me, and he was very, very like visibly happy to say this and proud of himself for saying this. He said that he had a bank account. He hadn't had one since the 90s.
Since 1998.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like, that is awesome because
That-
he was like, I think even when he heard himself say it, he was just happy to say it that he had it. And I was like, wow. And he's like, and I have, money
That's
now.
awesome, John.
So I was happy to hear him say that. That's huge.
That is
that's
huge.
And he hasn't brought that up, but it's like, it's those things that,
Mhm.
to someone it might seem like it's it's not a big deal or something small, but it's so huge. And
It's
it's huge for
huge.
him.
It was.
And it was a big deal. And I'm glad to be able to see him in this process and be this proud of himself because
Mhm.
in moving forward, his children will have that opportunity to see dad.
That's
move on
big.
like
You've
that.
modeled overcoming a very difficult situation to your children, and you've shown them that you can make it through tough things. And that's a big deal, John.
Yep.
I just applaud that. I mean, you went from being addicted to now having a job, having your own house, having a bank account, your driver's license. You're a responsible person.
Yep.
And that's wonderful.
Yep.
So
And it really, to tell you the truth, it wasn't even that hard.
it's hard.
It wasn't that hard.
Oh, it wasn't hard.
It wasn't that hard.
He says that, and I'm always blown away when he
I
says
know.
that.
It's
Just
like
needed
I'm
to
saying,
be pushed
God,
a
when
little.
God came into my life, and
Mhm.
that's what made it so easy. Like it wasn't hard. I wish I would have did this a long time ago, but it's like,
yeah.
But he was just so determined, and that's what I've
Yeah,
seen.
I see
And
that.
I think his determination has helped him.
make it easy.
Mhm.
Make
Has
it
helped
easy.
motivate you.
Yeah.
So if there was anybody listening who is maybe struggling, like you started out to be, what would you say to somebody who's struggling with their kids being removed, maybe?
I would say that for them to don't fight the system, don't fight CPS. That CPS is really here to help, and if they would just take the advice that the CPS is giving them, that they can change it and just want to. If they want to, you mean they love their kids and they love themselves. You mean they could do it. Anybody can. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's people that look at me that know me from back then, and they see me now, and they're like, "Wow, you make it look so easy. Like you're an everyday user, and now you don't use it at all." It's like, and I inspire them. You know, like, and that's good because there was a time in my life where the devil had me convinced that I was gonna die a drug addict, and he had me very convinced, and it was like a nightmare for me. Like, oh man, if I die and a drug addict, my kids are gonna find out, and how's that gonna affect them?
Yeah.
And it was a lie. because I'm doing it right now. You mean it can be done. Don't ever doubt that it can't be done. It can. I feel like anybody and everybody can. If I could stop using drugs after 30 years, anybody can. You mean it's
that's awesome.
Just gotta want to.
Yeah.
That's all it takes is that want to, and I want it to really bad, and just see a little
that's great
kick in the butt.
And you quit cigarettes too. Boy,
yeah.
That's sometimes people say that's even harder.
Oh yeah, it is. It wasn't, but like it wasn't hard.
It wasn't.
It wasn't hard for me.
That's great.
Even my buddy was like, the first day I quit, he goes, bro, I took him out to dinner, and he goes, man, he goes, I feel like smoking a cigarette right now. He goes, but I know you quit. I go, bro, go ahead, smoke that cigarette. I go, people aren't gonna stop smoking or stop breathing because I stopped smoking. I go, just smoke it, bro. I gotta live with that. You mean it's a choice that I gotta make. I made the choice that I don't want to do it no more. That's the way it's gonna be. So I chose not to. So
it's so many decisions are here, and I hear you being happy with the decision that you've made. So the temptation is maybe it's somewhat easier to fight because you just decided. You decided I'm not. Even when it was right there at your door, you said no.
Yep.
So good job. Good job. We celebrate. We really had you on the podcast because we want to celebrate your success, John. We want others to know it's possible, but we want you to feel really celebrated. We just want you to know we're proud of you. I am so happy to see this success and to hear from Bianca, and just to look, when I look at her and tears well up in both your eyes, that, you know, she gets to see your success too. And that's a big part of being a social worker, is believing in change, that people can change, and seeing it. It just makes us all, that's why we're here, right, Bianca? That's why we're here.
Yep.
So is there anything else that you would want to say to Bianca or you know, any of the social workers maybe that you worked with, John?
I just worked with Bianca, and I just like to thank her. I mean, thank you for understanding me and working with me, instead of just like, oh, what like you no matter what it was, we did have our little discussions that were, and I understood that no matter what, I had to do what she's saying, because it's only going to benefit me. Like if people just understand that this is going to benefit you no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how you look at it. At the end of this, if you listen, it's all going to benefit.
Yeah.
Me.
Right.
Like, it's not doing nothing for her. I mean, she gets to watch it. But it's not doing it like for her to make me do any of this stuff. It's all for me. So once the people understand it's
right
for them and for their kids, it's
worth it.
It's worth it. It's really worth it.
Yeah.
And I think we've had some of those conversations too. But it was always like at the end of it all, John, like, our goal is the same. Like, my job is to work with you to be able to get your baby back. And so I think in understanding that, you know, hopefully it's helped him as well.
Yeah. I see that.
I celebrate every morning.
That's good.
I celebrate.
You should.
I do. I celebrate every morning. I wake up. I celebrate.
That's great. You should. I
do. And it's oh man, it's
one day
great.
at a time. And just none of us know how many days we're here, do we?
Yeah, absolutely.
But just to celebrate all that we have, and you got you able to reunify, and we're just so excited to see the future for you, John. I know there's a lot more as you begin to dream and think about what's ahead, and there'll be a lot more, and your kids they'll be able to dream too. So we just thank you again for being here today, John, and just sharing your story. We hope that it inspires other people to believe they can do it too.
I hope so.
And Bianca, thank you too for what you do each and every day to help families. We celebrate you too and your success. So
thank you.
We hope to hear more of these stories, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's great, John. So thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's all for today.
I'm your co-host, Paula Hernandez, and we will be talking about mindful movement. Mindful movement involves moving the body along to music without thinking about executing dance moves or appearance. It's simply free-flowing music interpretation. Movement in any way is a great way for anyone to get in their bodies and let loose, and discharge pent-up energy, as well as allowing for self-expression. It's another way to incorporate mindfulness that uses music. And there's no way to do this incorrectly. It's simply expressing how the music feels. I can definitely attribute this type of movement to things like maybe yoga or Zumba, just with a little more structure. I'll be starting my Mindful Minute with movement today. Try it out. This has been your Mindful Minute.
Thank you for joining us for the Heartbeat of Human Services podcast today. We hope you'll join us next time.